I've been struck down something fierce by Nurgle's plague, and I need healing. What better way than the holy light of Alariel the Radiant here from Ryder Rohan vanquishing the foul forces of Nurgle. Yeah, it's going to be a heavy cavalry battle primarily here, as we've got triple Rot Knight, including the Rotting Riders Regiment of Renown, against the Fireborn Dragon Princes here. We've also got some Silver Helms and some regular Dragon Princes. Supporting elements, also important, we've got Talons of Torquelada, along with some Sisters of Avalorn, and Lothern Seaguard, all decent archers. I mean, certainly quite potent in the case of Sisters of Avalorn, and with some good defensive capabilities as well. White Lion Infantry, and then Alariel with her massive healing. Got a Lore of Nurgles, Sorcerer Lord to be the healer on the opposite side, some Marauders, and then the triple Rot Knights. And I think is that basically it? Yeah, a couple of Marauder Horsemen over on the side here. But let's get things rolling. The Elves are going to take up position here, somewhat in the woods. This will impact the battle if the cavalry engagement takes place within the trees. Won't really necessarily favor one side or the other. But if anything, the trees are actually going to benefit Nurgle to a pretty good degree here, as a lot of the shots are going to get blocked. You see there, especially the Sisters of Avalorn and the Talons of Torquelada, due to the dense trees on this map, are basically not able to fire through it at all. So that's pretty unfortunate. Marauder Horsemen take relatively little damage in that engagement. We do get a nice frontline clash between the Rangers and the Marauders. Foul, moldy Marauders. They're just disgustingly green. Practically orcs. They're significantly more disgusting than orcs, to be honest, but anyway. Yeah, I've got some AoE magics happening, but here we go with the cavalry. Rotting Riders charging in. It looks like they're actually targeted on the Rangers, and they get hit by a nice upgraded Plague of Rest. Didn't even see there's a Metal Caster in here as well. I'm a big fan of this from Ryder Rohan. I remember way back in the day, him and I workshopping that. That was years ago now. But anyway, healing light of the lady now in this big cavalry battle. And yeah, we've got the knights properly stuck in against each other. Either side really getting much advantage from their charge bonus here, which means the anti-large armor piercing of the Rod Knights is going to carry through pretty significantly. The Fireborn, of course, can actually hang with them. The regular Dragon Princes are not quite up to snuff, and they get kind of routed out here. Although the Rotting Riders did take a pretty substantial amount of damage. That Plague of Rust puts them down to only 40 armor, with Rot Knights' 80 armor being pretty low on the heavy cavalry spectrum. Yeah, 80 armor still great, don't get me wrong, but it is low, and especially considering most, like, elite heavy cavalry is pushing 100 plus, usually 110 plus at least. But anyway, like these Dragon Princes, Fireborn here, 120 with physical resistance. And mind you, Rot Knights, of course, do have the regeneration trait, but was it 100? 100 base? What, am I going insane? Okay, 100 base. That's what I was thinking. Maybe they used to be 80 on release. But, yeah, still, nonetheless, pretty good stuff over on this far side here. The archers, Talons of Torquelada, just been defending, kind of getting disrupted by the Marauders there. But let's get in close once more. Alariel swoops down on her eagle. Is going to get involved in this combat here to help provide a little bit of extra punch. Yeah, another Plague of Rust there. Yeah, of course, it would be 20 armor. I apologize, guys. I'm still a little bit feverish and sick. My math skills are not quite up to par. But anyway, yeah, it also helps, you know, the Plague of Rust does help equalize that non-armor piercing factor from the regular Dragon Princes. It certainly helps them punch much more effectively. So really is a super underrated spell, and especially for factions like High Elves famously lacking armor piercing damage, Plague of Rust against mixed armor factions, which Nurgle I would definitely put into that category. You'll see a good mix of elite heavy units and low armor, like chaff units, typically. It's true of a lot of factions, actually, in the game, if I stop and think about it. But generally, you can kind of pick and choose those high-value, high-armor targets with that Plague of Rust, kind of surgically strike with those non-AP high-damage units. But nonetheless, this grind-out fight between these two heavy cavalry forces still just slugging it out with each other. Again, because of the speed and the poison and everything else, it really makes sense for them to just stand here and slug each other. I mean, there's not really a lot of reason to try and cycle charge for one side or the other. But this actually is going to favor Alariel, I think. Her ability to output healing here is going to outpace even the passive healing plus the Chaos Sorcerer Lord. And especially with the DPS difference of that Plague of Rust. You know, without that, I think the Nurgle champions actually probably have enough DPS to win that fight, but we can see here it is pretty close at the end of the day. But the Rotting Riders do get routed off. The White Lions also are probably an overall much better support unit here. Yeah, the fact that they're still alive means they're automatically better, but we do have the one Marauder kind of filtering in here as well. But taking an overall look at the battlefield, yeah, the archers are all still kind of having a saga of their own. Being able to turn and fire into this engagement now after having been victorious on that periphery is also going to be pretty important here, but let's see if the Fireborn can survive. Yeah, looks like Marauder Horsemen did use up all their ammunition in that case. But Rod Knights, this unit here with 18 unit models, for Nurgle, I honestly maybe think you just run these guys out somewhere. Although he doesn't really have anything to cover the retreat with. Just to try and get them maybe some extra time to regenerate. They've actually got probably more healing cap space left, although there are 2 units of these other cavalry still. Yeah, there's only 3 models of the Rotting Riders, so they're not really functional anymore. This other unit has enough unit models, and if they were to pull back, they could probably regenerate a good amount of HP and even things out a little bit here. But as it is, Nurgle not looking great. Sorcerer Lord continuing to fight on. And it's not... yeah, not looking great for Nurgle on the balance power or in real terms. Rod Knight's now going to get this final charge from the Fireborn. And, yeah, getting that corroded armor effect. Even still. Charge in. And that should be the decisive end, I would think. Yeah, finishing off that last Rot Knight. Archers just on this map, absolutely miserable value, actually. I mean, granted, tactically it was still good for them to hold off support units, although from a cost perspective, probably Nurgle was getting the better end of that trade. The horsemen are much cheaper. But anyway, yeah, the trees here just absolutely trolling right over Rohan. They're firing through these dense kind of dark elf, what is this, Nagarond? This area of the world, any maps that are in this area, the forests are functionally impossible to shoot through, so you probably shouldn't even try. But anyway, yeah, I mean, the archers, Lothar Seaguard actually ends up doing some pretty good value. And I guess they are basically the cheapest out of the 3, so makes sense. Dragon Princes, the regular one, gets some respectable value as well, thanks to the Plague of Rust. Support there from the Metal Mage, and then Alariel, of course, healing the Fireborn into 4,000 damage value as gold. 22,000 damage dealt against mostly Rot Knights. That's kind of insane, to be honest. I mean, granted, you would expect that because of the healing amount that they're doing, that you'd sort of inflate that value, but you still have to do the damage, right? So, very impressive. Love the White Lion support here as well. The Rangers kind of acting as a little vanguard, which is definitely a great role for them. A couple of them to get some good trades into these Marauders, which, again, I don't hate them as a support unit here. I actually offer a lot of upside. You see the 700 value. That's great. Great value for a Marauder. The sort of loose formation is a decent-ish counter to the High Elves ranged, and the fact that, again, great weapons aren't piercing, poison, just kind of sticky, great all-around support units. I don't hate that here at all. And the Rot Knights also got pretty good value. Ultimately wasn't quite enough to win at the end. But, yeah, I mean, pretty close game, all things said and done. I'm not really sure what I would change. To be honest, I'd have to sit and think about it a little bit, which I'm probably not in capacities to do, because although Elves did prevail, and I feel somewhat healed, I'm still a little bit under the weather, so you'll have to forgive me. That's it for today. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.